Can you hear me now?
I gotta get my audio to play back.
And we're live. Let me know if you can hear me. Our guest is hopping on. Yeah, I texted something to him. It didn't make any sense. Stupid autocorrect. Anyway, we're here. We're live. Can you hear me? Technical issues already. It's been 3 weeks. I hope everyone can hear me. Yo, yo, yo. We got our number one fan here as always. Can you hear us, Zig? We sound good. We sound beautiful. Like every day.
Chris, I'll be right back. Sorry, you're on your own. I literally think I have to restart my computer because it's not recognizing my mic at all, even though it's plugged in.
I can hear you though. I can hear you.
I guess I can't hear what you're saying.
Oh no. All right, well, everybody. That's too much of my face coming in, really a lot of it. So we got technical difficulties right now. So I'm going to banter for a bit. How's everyone doing? How's our one guy doing? Bring it close. Bring it close. I forgot I have to deselect your thing. Bring it close. All right. So you know what I just realized? I had this thought, and this is just to Ziggy and whoever else watches this playback, but it has to be. I've always thought it has to. Our guest is in the in the wings, so we'll bring him on in a little bit. I think he can hear us. If you can, maybe give a thumbs up whenever you get settled. But right now we're having technical difficulties. Our second guest isn't. He had to restart his computer, so it's just me. Anyway, what I was just about to say was, I've always had that thought that I could probably do a solo podcast where you just talk to yourself. Immediately, don't think I could.
All right, I got to figure it out.
All right, cool. Thanks.
I literally just had to unplug and plug it back in, even though it's registering the same. Like I didn't change anything. I just plugged it back in.
Okay. I was riffing and describing how sometimes you think, I've seen people do a solo podcast. Like I like Chris D'Elia. He does a solo podcast. And you think like, that shouldn't be too hard. You know, you could probably do a solo podcast, just kind of riff and talk to yourself about stuff. And then you left, and I'm like, nope, I could never do a solo podcast. I thought I could, but I really can't.
I'm doomed already.
I was thrown into a solo podcast for 5 seconds and panicked. So
you were failing already.
I failed. I sucked, which is fine. That's why we were a 2-person podcast.
Mm.
That's why we do what we do. So we're freaking live. Finally, John's back.
John's front.
Why have we had so many weeks without a Thursday night live stream, John?
Chris has been so busy lately.
It's been all me.
No, life has been crazy, dude. It has been crazy. And I think every single Thursday. Oh, 1 week I was still at work.
Oh, we got.
I worked like a 15-hour day.
Yeah,
and and then 1 week I had something. I don't know. I would have to go back.
Yeah, you're busy,
but I've been busy.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I've been crazy busy.
But we got
working for it.
We got some cool updates. You have. I don't know how much you want to show. Once again, per the norm, we'll kind of riff and hang out for about 30 minutes till we bring our guests on, kind of talk about some of our updates with our campaigns. I had a podcast last night that went really well. I had a lot of fun on that. Wednesday night review. Highly recommend everyone go check that out. Went pretty well. But we got So, if anyone's been following along, like I mentioned before, I would love to get your artificials out to you, all of you backers, but I don't know how to pick a printer. I guess that is the moral of the story. It has to be me,
That's
because
you.
the fact that both of the printers I've used have just screwed the pooch. I don't really know what to do about it, but regardless, I still have. So this is a broken one, but I at least got them in. But they're all jacked up. But
Is it?
anyway.
What's wrong with them? I saw some pictures. Was it that center line in the middle?
Yeah. So they call it slippage. And
Mm.
apparently there is an acceptable amount of slippage, similar to the amount of rat poison that's allowed to make its way into our food. There's a.
I'm sorry, I don't like that word.
Oh, we'll talk printing, all right.
Slippage is
Yeah,
a
I know.
weird word. I have not heard that word before, like legit, and now it just doesn't.
I had to have a long conversation with a woman about slippage, and so that went real well. But let me show you. So here, now, hey, to be fair, and I'll talk with AJ about this, our guest, and we'll see. I would love an outside perspective, because I have had the thought. I was like, am I just being overly critical? But like, it's stuff like this. Now, I know that's not a lot, but that drives me nuts. And then hold on, the biggest one is this. We have a full page spread, one of my favorite pages of the book, just cut in half.
Ouch.
By a big white line.
And it wasn't like that in the original, right?
No, I have the original print right here.
Which you had a problem with Comics Wellsprings, because they sent you a bunch of stuff that had just the texture was like peeling, and
so look, a perfect spread page. So Comics Wellspring nailed that, but their issue was they had a bunch of I don't know what you'd call them, like burn marks, printer marks, a bunch of stuff like that. A couple like messed up pages. So to be honest, a much more egregious, like much worse issues, but it didn't affect all the comics. It just affected like 25% of them. This was almost every comic in the entire batch.
That's rough.
And I was so pissed off. Man, I was frustrated. Anyway, but so we got our first batch of artificial in. I would love to send it out to you, but I'm not going to send you garbage. So there's that. You're welcome.
Such a nice
Second update, we got Heathen in, which looks great.
That's
by
awesome,
John.
Dude.
I think it turned out really well.
That's sick, dude.
It's a manga size, so it's not your full size comic, but it's manga. Not it's more. You know what? I'm American. I don't know.
Tomato.
I'm not into manga, to be honest. So like I'm doing this.
Where it's at right now, even though
I know it is.
I don't want to say that because I'm in the Western side of things, but it is.
It is though. It's popping more than anything else. So like it's fine. It's not red like typical manga. Reverse. It's more westernized, but
dude,
it turned out good, and I'm so happy with it. And when I got it, I was excited. And there's no slippage. Hey, no slippage.
No slippage. John's Comics didn't get slippage.
There's no slippage with John's Comics.
Well, it's a tinier page. There's a tinier page diameter, so they can't really have slippage with
John's
tinier stuff.
John's Comics are a little smaller than mine, so less slippage. You take the good with the bad. It's to be expected. But anyway, and I even added my little thing there, and then I'm not going to show you. I had to bookend it with another one, but I think it's kind of a cool bookend to it. I haven't shown you yet, but even though it's your comic,
I know that's
I kind of mess with it. I think.
Hey, you're the one who printed it, because there's a whole story behind not getting it printed. Was like the original. This came out a year ago, and it was a digital add-on with my first, which was the last one we funded on Kickstarter. And I was like, hey, I have this comic I've never shown anybody, like never released. I did like it, but I just didn't know where to go with it at the time. I was super busy. And I didn't know if it would ever go to print either. I didn't know if I would ever print it. And you were like, hey, I can fix some things on it for you that I had some pet peeves about. and get it printed. And I was like, yo, if you feel like you can, then that would be awesome. And here we are.
Yeah. I mean, I never read it. I remember you sent it with the last one because I backed the last one. I remember getting it. And I didn't read through it, to be honest. And then when we were over at your house and you showed it to me just like full screen on a TV, I was like, I think I said, no offense.
Yeah, I liked it better.
Do this.
Yeah.
Like, this is good. Like, I really like the story. It's got a nice hook at the end for sure. Art style is really cool, which is going to be the only challenge, but I think you could figure that out. It took a little formatting on my end, but it wasn't, nothing crazy. It only took like maybe an hour or two.
I was thinking about, I have the second issue of that written. In fact, I think I have the third half written too, but I have it written and ready to go. It's just a matter of pulling the trigger and getting the artist back on board, which he is still available to do issue 2.
Oh, sweet. That was the thing I was worried about, is you getting finding the artist again.
Yeah, he's still available. Yeah, and not in a reasonable rate. It's so hard because like literally the last one too is done and about to be launched. Then we have Wingless, which is in like full swing, coloring, almost done.
Yep.
And then I would have this going on at the same time, and I'm just like, I'm also helping a buddy write a story, so I'm all over the place. So it's kind of messy right now. But
yeah, you've been a busy boy.
On top of the 15-hour days. Yeah,
for real. But I mean, it's going pretty well. I mean, you
said bring it in close.
That was Ziggy earlier when I was talking about how I was like, "Ooh, this is a lot of my face, more of my face than I prefer." So, and then Ziggy's like, "Bring it in close." So if you want, okay, so you don't have a ton of updates per se to show off, right?
I don't know if it's me or you, but someone's lagging bad.
Oh, is it me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hold on, I'm doing a bunch of stuff too, which is probably me.
Am I frozen?
Yeah, you're frozen. Can you see me? Sorry, AJ. It's John. Okay.
He's gone.
Maybe. Thank you, Ziggy.
Help.
Man, John, you need better internet. We have our guests in a little bit, and you're over here just dropping out. All right. Well, how about while John figures that out, I'm going to show you guys my let's show you some cool Artificial 2 stuff. That way, at least you got a little bit of an update that you can see, because we've been super busy and just haven't really been able to get to a lot of stuff. All right. Y'all ready for this? Where is it? Am I ready for this? Dead air is the death of a podcast. Okay. So, sorry, John. John's gone. Let me show you guys a little bit, and Ziggy, you can let me know what you think of some of the cool stuff I got going on. There it is. All right.
Okay.
There's John.
So I don't understand this. I have full bars on the bottom right of my computer for my internet connection, but StreamYard has one bar. So tell me how that works.
Do I still have Bring It In Close? John, you got to remind me of this stuff.
Oh, did I put that? I think I hit that as my.
We still have Bring It In Close. Goodness, this is not a professional show. I apologize.
This is the first time this has been this bad. So
it's been, it normally is. So here is, I'm gonna give off some of my stuff. Sound good?
This is pretty, dude.
So this is page 1 of Artificial 2. Fully colored, not lettered yet. Lettering's going to put in a little bit of something on the sign. It's going to say, "Welcome to San Francisco." That's going to be your full page 1 splash page to kind of give that setting. I think the colorist did a pretty good job. What do you think?
I love it. What's the Obey and the 404?
It's just something my artist put in. I was like, all right, that's fine.
Man. Okay. I wanted to know if there's any meaning behind it.
Obey for
Obey
sure.
For sure. Yeah.
404 is just a tech term. All right, next one. So this is page 3. We skipped page 2 because page 2 has a lot of stuff going on in it. So we kind of are going to get to that next. But let me know what you think as we go.
I love this. So this is picking up where issue 1 left off, right?
Immediately. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm following.
Yeah. And the one thing I like about this, and give me your opinion, I originally was like, there's too much detail with Leo here. And my colorist, he put most of the detail in. He's like, I wanted it to have that feeling of like a Renaissance painting of like very dramatic. And he's like, it's different than all the other panels because of all the detail I put in. I was like, okay, that's enough explanation. Thank you. I like it.
Oh, I see now. Okay. So that's Van Gogh's hand on his face. For a second there, I thought he was holding his own eye. I was like, what happened to his eye? But now I realize it from that one. Okay, I got it.
You see it now. All right, next one. Immediately after.
Okay. The knife is interesting.
Yeah, just a little. It's a little sculpt. It's just a sculptor's knife.
This mother trucker tried to kill me.
Basically, you read the script. That's pretty much it. And this is the next page. This is so far all we have to show.
He's trying to see if he's alive still, or she is.
Yep,
that's funny. Pulling the beard. Okay, yeah, he makes a noise, so he's still there.
No, this is I don't know. That's not what they said, but it's close. It's a good try.
I'm following along.
Yeah, you're following along. You're filling it in. Anyway, so that is the update for Artificial 2. That's it. I want more as well. We actually have a freaking amazing page coming pretty soon that I can't wait to show, but that'll be next Thursday. We only got 9 minutes until we need to bring our guests in, so I don't think I can even go hunt that down.
Sheesh, I was late.
You were late, John, and unforgivable. Now, would you like to show off the coloring? Sound like a kindergartner. Show off the coloring, please. No, of Wingless. Now that you have a new color.
Yeah. So we got a new colorist. For Wingless. Let me do this. Share screen. Google Drive. Haha. Boom. There it is. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead and give me that zoom. Give me some zoom.
So here we are.
I mean, I like it.
And
I think it looks really good.
Oh man, I do really like it. So it was interesting because we had the other colorists and things kind of fell through, and he's like, "Don't let me see the other color stuff. Let me just do my rendition of it, and we'll see how it goes." And this was his rendition, and what sold me was Astro. The colors on Astro are what sold me. Because really, Astro, I mean, all this stuff, yeah, you really want it to look nice, and I was happy with it either way. I like the colors he kind of added in here, but ultimately, it was the way Astro looked, and when I saw that, I was like, yeah, this is the guy. So he did a really good job. Blue eyes. Yeah, so I talked to him today. We made everything official. I sent him all the files. He works on 4 pages at a time.
Cool.
And I already paid him for those 4 in advance, and he does those 4. We review them, and then we go on to the next 4. So the colorist is Dan. I think I said his last name wrong, right? I mean, and he's done quite a few comics of people that even I know that I didn't know he did, which is really cool. He's done a lot of covers and stuff like that. So
awesome. He's talented.
I'll stop sharing this, but yeah.
That was something that we were talking about at one point. If anyone remembers who's watching, we were discussing how you were playing with different colorists, and then the most recent one before this guy, they just did too realistic of a take on it. Like it looked too polished, almost 3D.
It was too the way I
explained
like
rubber,
it was
rubber.
too
I like
rubbery.
That. Yeah,
it just felt like and this is how dedicated I am to this. I paid for the whole book to be colored because I was really busy and the guy just did it right, and I just paid half up front. And by that time, I was like, I don't want to get into numbers, but I was pretty much almost $700 to $800 in. I was like, I paid for half the book, so I really don't know what to do at this point. So I was like, you know what, let's see if we can salvage it. And so he did the other half of the book. We couldn't salvage it. It still was not what I wanted it to be. So I pretty much told him, hey, you know what? No offense. I literally paid him. So I paid him for the full book to be colored and said, hey, I just want to let you know, I'm not going to use the colors for this. It's just not what I want for the book. It's my wrong. I messed up. I was busy. I wasn't able to give it as much attention as I wish I should have, or as much as I should have. And so in this case, I was like, put it to the side. We're going to find different colors. And he was like, no, that's perfectly fine. If you ever want to work on something else, just let me know, and we'll work on it. And I said, okay. And we kind of just separated ways, but that was what
it was rough. Happened, it was rough to hear that story the first time you told it.
But it's a learning curve, man, but we're gonna get it right.
This guy looks good, and I'm super excited now that we can finally get Wingless going and hopefully have final product pretty soon. That's gonna be great. Can't wait. Yeah. Before we bring our guests in, that's just leading into I really can't wait to have it done because we have a bunch of Comic-Cons we're going to be at this year, including, thanks to John, a 5th one.
Oh, we did that. We got that today, huh?
Yeah, I filled out the application. I was like, why not? Technically, Ziggy said, why not? We were playing Gears last night, and I was asking him, and he's like, why not? I was like, because it's just a lot. I don't know. And I was like, technically, it's 1 in January and then 3 in March. So it's almost every weekend in March we have a Comic-Con. And that's when Zig was like, oh, okay. But I was like, yeah, but at the same time, why not?
Yeah, because
we're going to
so local.
Yeah, that's
I believe Reflection Comics is there too.
Yep, they'll be there. Well, it's the one I think we went to earlier this year or whatever it was. Maybe it was last year. But what was it called? Classic Comics. Something roadshow, something like that.
We don't even know.
I know. I can't even remember. Well, I didn't even know about it until you texted me. I was like, all right, let's do it. So we got the application filled out. I just got to pay for it, and we will be there. But we will be at January 7th. We will be at the Comic-Con in Fort Lauderdale. Super excited. Never been there before. That's going to be our first Comic-Con ever. I got our banner ordered. It's supposed to be here pretty soon. It's going to be a nice 8-foot tall, 6-foot wide banner. It's going to kind of look like the background here, only just flipped, obviously, kind of vertical instead of horizontal. Can't wait for that. Yes, BB Comics. Yes, I'm glad. BB Comics. That's it. BB Comics is coming to a con near you.
BB.
Yeah, I do regret the acronym, but that's fine. All right, but that's anyway. Bunch of cool stuff coming. Hopefully, we can get back into a groove of having Thursday live streams, especially because we got AJ coming in. We have another guest next Saturday or next Thursday. I'm super excited about. He's got a Kickstarter currently running, so that's kind of something I want to keep going. Is make sure we hit these as much as we can. So, without further ado, because it's 8:27. We have a really cool guest with us today. I'm just going to give him a quick introduction. His name's AJ. He's with Earthtone Kingdom, his own little publishing house. I've never really met him before, talked to him too much. So this is going to be kind of just an introduction, kind of a hangout, and just a chit chat, and hopefully introduce him to some new people and kind of see what he's got going on. So all that said, get ready, AJ. You're getting ready to be added to the stage. Get ready.
I'm just trying to find these colors.
There he is. Bad. I got him. Hey, man.
Hello. What's up? What's up, guys? Am I coming in clear?
Yes, sir.
Looking good.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Good. Thanks for waiting in the wings for 30 minutes of technical issues.
No worries. It was you guys were having some good conversation. So yeah, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Just adjusting my light here.
Yeah, all good. So first name's Alex, right? Do you prefer Alex or AJ?
It's either one, but my official writing name is AJ. That's
I like it. Okay. And
I'm Alex. I'm Alex Jr. So the AJ is really.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And how do you pronounce your last name?
Ampadu.
Ampadu.
My father's from Ghana, so there's a Ghanaian name.
Okay, cool. All right, good. Now I know.
Mm-hmm.
But welcome to the podcast, AJ. We're so if you've done a couple of these before, you might have gotten more prep or questions given to you. We don't do that here.
It's a mixed bag, man. Sometimes it's free shooting from the hip. Sometimes I get a bunch. I actually prefer the freestyle, to be honest, because all the list of questions makes me nervous.
Yeah, same. I'd rather just kind of hang out, and then if something comes up, and then we just talk. Because I've always been one. I shoot from the hip a little better when I have nothing prepared. So that's what we do. That's what we do here.
Perfect.
But feel free to introduce yourself. Maybe talk a little bit about some of the stuff you currently have going on. Maybe introduce kind of how you got started in comics. Just a quick introduction for yourself, and then we'll kind of just chill.
No problem. So my name is AJ Ampadu. I got started doing comics when I was a kid. I remember my older brother was a Marine, and he went off to serve, and he came back, and I had to be about 7 years old, and he came back with I think it was part 3 of the Dark Phoenix saga.
Cool.
This first comic book I'd ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And that particular issue, if you guys remember, it's like the issue when Wolverine like fights his way through the Hellfire Club to free the X-Men away from the Hellfire Club. And I'm just reading this comic and I'm like, wow, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like that actually is known for like the Wolverine breakout issue where he kind of became his own thing, where like, okay, he wasn't just an X-Man now, he was like cool on his own. That was kind of like the issue that did that. So I had no idea what I was looking at. I'm just reading this X-Men comic and I'm just like, what, the costumes, the writing, and I'm like, why does he keep saying bub? Everything about it was just like scrambled my brain. So I instantly became kind of fascinated with comic book storytelling. And I started making my own comics. I would I actually had my own comic book company in like the 5th grade, where it was me and my little buddy. We actually had a whole, like, we had a release schedule, and we would draw our little issues. We had our little characters, and we would try to make copies of them and sell them at school. And a couple of kids actually bought them. It was actually kind of interesting. So it's crazy that throughout my entire life, all the things that I've done, it came back to comic book creation. I try to run away from comics for a long time. I mean, I stopped reading them for a long time. When I got into writing, I was doing all types of things besides writing comics. I was doing film and television and journalism, and then I ended up coming all the way back to comics. Sometime around 2018, I was kind of hit like a real creative slump. I spent about 10 years in the music industry, hip hop, as a producer and an artist, and that was cool but I kind of like was growing out of that, and I wanted to do something new. I wanted to do something interesting, and I started writing in a lot of film and television stuff, and I did a couple of scripts there. Had a little bit of success, but it was such a grind. I didn't know if it was right for me, for the type of creative that I wanted to be. So I was like, you know what? Let me start doing comics again. And my whole idea was just to write something good. I started writing Dragon Face, my horror book Dragon Face. I think the reason I started writing that was because I was feeling very, I guess, depressed maybe. So I was kind of like in a dark space, and I needed to vent that negative energy into something positive. So that's how I ended up writing that. And I had no plans to start my own publishing company to fund it. I didn't even have plans to release the comic. I just wanted to finish writing and creating it. And that's a piece of advice that I give to newer writers who are trying to break into anything, just finish it. Like if you want to break into film, just finish your script. Don't think about selling it or marketing it or getting it made. Just finish the script.
Yeah,
you're a novelist, you're comic book creator, just finish the script, and then we can think about the rest of it later. So I kind of just applied that mantra to my life. Just finished writing Dragonface, and then I realized that it was incredibly dark. So I needed to write something a little bit happier, a little bit more positive. And I'm a huge fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I was
show
like,
of all time. Continue.
Right. Yes, exactly. And I was talking with one of my buddies, and he was like, comics aren't for kids anymore. You go to the comic book store, it's just a bunch of 40-year-old dudes arguing over, Wolverine's adamantium or something like that.
Yep.
So there needs to be, for the next generation, we need to create new comic book characters that they can, be into. And it's one of the reasons why anime and manga does so well, is because it's so easy for them to get into these newer characters, newer stories. So that's when I started working on Kimi Cosmic, which is my space cowboy science fantasy adventure. And I wanted something to be kind of like the polar opposite of the darkness, the mature horror, sophisticated horror of Dragonface. I wanted to write something that was all ages, that anyone could appreciate or whatnot. So that's how I started working on Kimi Cosmic. And before I did anything, I wrote 5 issues of Dragonface and 7 issues of Kimi Cosmic. And I looked at them, and I kind of got the scripts a little bit to where I wanted them to be. And then I started trying to find an artist. And then I started, trying to find a colorist. And back then, Reddit was amazing for that. Like it was so good for connecting with comic book, creators. So I used that. There was a couple of groups that I joined, some meetup groups I joined. Now we're going into COVID now. So a lot of stuff was going remote. A lot of people were just connecting on the internet. So I was just using whatever channels were available to me to try to connect to creators and just start making a comic. And I started slowly chipping away at it, spending my own money on it. And then I got to a point where I wanted to try to pitch the books to publishers. Right. So I started that whole chestnut where I started contacting publishers and sending them, pages. And I actually went to New York Comic Con 2019, which was like really world changing for me, because I had 8 pages of Dragonface finished from this artist I was working with. And I was just going to go around to different publishers and be like, hey, look at this. Was this something that you'd be interested in publishing? And I kept getting this feedback where they loved the pitch, but they didn't like the artwork. So I was looking at the artwork, and I liked the artwork, but they didn't like the artwork. And after 2 or 3 publishers gave me that same, feedback, I was like, maybe I should find a different artist. And I did that.
I was going to say, it can't be what I'm looking at right now, because this is great.
Right. Yeah. So, actually, the irony is that the artist is actually my colorist. So the colorist, he was like, okay, fine. I don't have to do the pencils. I can just do the colors. And I think he's better at coloring than he is at penciling. So that's how it ended up happening. So I didn't fire him. I kept him on the book. I just took him off pencils and got a new artist. So I should mention them. Roman Klepinin. He's a guy from Russia, and Iakopo Khaleesi, he's a colorist. So shout out both of those guys for working with me on Dragonface. And so that was the first lesson I learned, was that I needed to really know how to match artwork with script. I think the art and the script just didn't mesh well together. So I went back to the drawing board, hired a different artist, and then proceeded to start making the book better. And I was kind of producing Dragonface and Kimi Cosmic simultaneously. And I had enough pages and enough script and like the story Bible and all those things together where I could start sending like really like legitimate pitch packages to publishers. And I started actually getting a lot of great feedback where people were like, yeah, we'd love to publish this. I don't want to mention the publishers, but I had some really notable publishers particularly interested in actually both books. And I was just grinning from ear to ear because I'm just like,
Yeah.
wow, this is actually working. I'm like, this, this is, I'm starting to get to where I wanted to get to. And then I got the contracts back from the publishers.
Yeah, that might change things a bit.
I've never seen a comic book contract before. I didn't know what to look for, what not to expect. But once again, I mentioned that I have been working in the music industry for quite some time. So,
right. So you're familiar with contracts in general. So,
yes. Yeah. Yes. And there were some things that I was like, I'm not crazy about this. Mm-hmm. And I had a friend who's a lawyer she's done a lot of work for me. And she's not, and she doesn't know anything about comic book law or anything like that. But at the same time, just having a legal eye on it was something that I wanted to do. So I had her take a look at it, and she's like, these aren't the greatest contracts. And I try to go back to the publishers and ask them for a little bit of leeway. And one publisher was very specifically ironclad about no negotiations, take it or leave it. They actually sent me 2 contracts. One was for the book, and the other one was for merchandising. And that's where it kind of bothered me, because I'm just like, well, you guys want a piece of my merchandise? It reminded me of the 360 deals that musicians would sign, where it's like, oh, not only do we get a piece of your music, but if you do a deal with Doritos, we get a piece of that. And if you do a movie deal, we get a piece of that. They want a piece
of the IP. They want a piece of your likeness. They want a piece of everything, and it's just
right.
Yeah, not great.
So the contracts is what made me say, you know what? I had a long conversation with my wife, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to try to do this on my own. Yeah. And, I had more confidence because my wife and I had also started another business, a side business, selling skin and hair products. And we were seeing a lot of success. And my wife, she learned a lot about independent business and how to build a Shopify page and how to market on TikTok and all those types of things. She was learning that stuff. So I was kind of absorbing that information through osmosis. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, well, my idea was that if I put the books out myself and I just take them as far as I can take them, if I get to a point where I feel like I can do no more, there might be a publisher who may still be interested in taking the book. And, usually if it's different than the version that I put out, like maybe new cover, re-edited or whatnot, some publishers will still do that. And I actually knew a couple of independent comic book creators who had done that same pathway, where they had done it independently for about 3 or 4 years. They actually got a lot of buzz behind their book, and then they were able to then publish it with a much larger publisher and attain even more visibility that way. So I figured, hey, let me just try this. Let me just do that. And that's when I decided to do a Kickstarter last year. Yeah. And I did the Kickstarter, my first Kickstarter ever. It's completely terrified. Yeah. I read every article I could read. I watched every video I could watch. I learned everything I could learn. And, I ended up actually doing pretty well for my first Kickstarter. And I think largely due in part to my friends and family supporting my dream and my vision. People had seen me working on this for a while. So they kind of knew that I was really focused. And even though I want to say a lot of people who probably contributed to the Kickstarter weren't into comics, I think right now is a great time to bring new readers into this medium. Definitely. So there's a lot of people who are like, hey, I don't read comics, but that looks cool. And I'm pretty good at pitching things. So I think a lot of people were like, the story sounds good. And if this is the medium you chose to tell the story in, I'll go ahead and consume it just because I want to get to that story. So I did pretty well with my first Kickstarter. And then in January of this year, I officially launched Earth's Own Kingdom as an independent comic book publisher. And since then, we did about 6 or maybe 7 conventions this year. Awesome. The biggest one being Anime NYC.
Yep, I saw that.
Yeah, earlier this month. And it's been a hell of a ride. I mean, I've only been doing this for 1 year as a publisher. Been writing comics now for about 4 or 5 years, and it's been a blast. Like I've had so much fun. Like I said, it's bringing me back to when I was a child. Like the comic books, it's reinvigorates why I think comic books are I don't want to say the best, but for me, my favorite storytelling medium. And now I just buy a bunch of indie comics. Like, you guys got to shoot me your Kickstarter, because all I do is buy comics on Kickstarter now. I got a stack that I'm reading, and some of them are so cool, some of them are so well done. And I guess that's where I am now. Now for the future, we are releasing a lot more books. I'm actually now going to start. I've started opening my doors to other IPs, and I'm going to publish other people's comics now.
Sweet.
And also, in addition, I guess I can say this news. I think it's safe for me. I hope I don't get in
everyone,
trouble.
exclusive news. Exclusive news.
I've been officially hired by Valiant Comics to write some of their new books. So Valiant Comics / Alien Books. I know a lot of people who are fans of Valiant. They've been doing a lot of things over the past couple decades, and they've switched ownership. The IP of their characters have switched ownership, and recently they just went through a whole upheaval. And now their IP has been acquired by Alien Books, a really, really great publisher.
I've heard of them. I'm familiar.
Oh, you're familiar with them. Okay, so now Valiant and Alien Books are essentially the same thing. Sweet. And so now they're doing a full rollout starting next year with launching all their characters, big crossover, all types of stuff. It's really, really exciting stuff that they have coming out soon. So the fact that they that they got in contact with me and brought me in as a writer for I feel like I should say which character, but
I mean,
okay, I'll just say it. Why not?
Not gonna get in trouble with me.
Yeah, I know, right? So it's Ninjak, who is like one of their premier characters. He's essentially their Batman, if you will. So the fact that I'm writing a character that I used to read in the 90s as a kid is insane. So I've had nothing but good times and just like excitement, and I was so afraid to do this. There's so many times where I didn't want to go on this path, and I wanted to do something else, and I couldn't find any guidance. I couldn't find any mentorship. It was such a strange emotional journey, but I'm so happy that I pushed forward, and now like I talk to so many people, from little kids all the way up to people older than me, about the creative process, about getting into comics. I get so many inquiries about, how do I make a comic? I want to make a comic. I have a story, and I'm so eager to help people, because I didn't get a lot of help when I was trying to do this. And like I said, I really think that this making comics like pulled me out of depression. It just gave me an energy, gave me a just like a fire, lit a fire under my butt. And like I said, I'm so present, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity.
Yeah, man.
That's a story, bro.
That's awesome. That's a good story.
Thank you.
I wanted to interject at little moments, because
my bad. I was rambling.
No, but the thing is, you succinctly basically said everything, and it was great. But there was like little moments. But I will say like from the top, I can relate with like 99% of everything you just said, because it's very similar with me. I had a love for comics when I was a kid. I already did that, John, but that's fine.
I know. I'm behind. I'm actually I'm doing research on our guy here, AJ, while we're going through this, because I'm so far behind on everything. So it's just cool to read.
Yeah. I mean, I have a separate tab here. I'm like, I'm struggling not to be taken away, but I know. But no, like, I had a love for comics when I was young. My dad ended up leaving our family, so he bailed on my mom and me and my sisters, and he was an inker for Marvel, so he used to ink, and I had a big mural on my bedroom wall of Spider-Man Spider-Man swinging in on one side, like life-size Spider-Man on my wall. And then on the other side was like Kingpin and Venom and it just every Doc Ock, a ton of villains coming in at him. So it's like this action panel on my bedroom wall. So I had that in my bedroom as a kid growing up. And then he left, and I kind of chucked comics out of my life. I just didn't read them anymore. I was just like, all right, we're good.
I don't mind to get I don't mean to get personal, but do you think that
of course.
the relationship with your father, or lack thereof, unfortunately, do you think that contributed to your rejection of comics at the time?
Well, probably. That's what I would assume. Because like
Mm-hmm.
I think I've said it a couple times. Like I don't know if it was like subconsciously,
Mm-hmm.
I just stopped reading comics.
Mm-hmm.
So whether or not, I mean, he was kind of my gateway, you know what I mean? He would
Mm-hmm.
bring comics home and we had a walk-in closet filled with boxes upon boxes. I think his collection was like worth a couple $100,000 by the time we went through it. He just said, because he was collecting them since he was a kid, you know, he was born in 52. So like he had some comics and he had some good ones and they were all like in mint condition. So that was my childhood, was brought up with a love for comics. And then I just dropped it. And once again, you know, getting personal is kind of the important thing, I think, when you're interviewing creators. It kind of helps people understand you and it attracts people normally. So being vulnerable is a good thing. So anyway, that's what I think happened. And then similarly, I just stumbled back into comics, but it was when I was older. And then with John here, we kind of did a very similar thing that you did, where we both started making comics and just diving in and just writing, finding artists, going through the same process, just figuring it out as we go. Not really, no idea. Honestly, my mentor was John, because John started first. So John started. He kept telling me all the pitfalls that he was running into and like little issues, and it saved me a ton of time, headache, and money. So John was my mentor technically throughout this, and then we ended up merging. So now we did the same thing you did, basically, where we go, are we pitching to publishers? Are we going to go, you know, show our wares to all these people and be like, hey, do you want a piece of every aspect of this IP for, you know, in perpetuity? Is that what we're going to do? Or are we just going to do our own thing? And for better or for worse, not sure yet. Similarly, we've only been doing it for about a year. But we started our own publishing company, BentBox Comics. And we're trying to, if you see the banner, these are all our comics we're making so far. We're trying to get some really high quality stuff out there, some unique stuff, which I think, similarly to you, is kind of the beauty of indie comics now. It's like you said, when you buy comics, you go looking at Kickstarters because you know it's going to be wacky, unique, deep, you know what I mean? Like important. So like that's where you go now. So that's kind of what we're trying to do. And then also, similarly to you, we're in talks with a couple people who want to start making comics, and we're like, hey, let's throw BentBox on that let's put BentBox on that cover, and let's bring you in. Let's you know, this is your first comic, we'll help you publish it, and you know what I mean? So we're trying to do a very similar thing, just kind of grow a brand, because that's, you know, pretty important, especially if you're not publishing with a publisher. So
yeah, you know, the branding thing, it's such a tough part of the creative process, because you know, I'm going to talk about music again. Like it's kind of like what you need to do in order to propel anything that you create, right? Is the marketing and whatnot. But that's an entire art in and of itself. And one of the things that kind of frustrates me is that artists should be artists. They should be able to create full time and use all of their brain cells in making the next really cool creative thing. But then when you're a publisher, or you know, you're in business for yourself, you have to also spend a lot of time, energy, and money marketing, and the balance between the two is such a delicate thing, where now even myself, I do, you know, a few months of marketing, then I do a few months of writing, then I go back to marketing, then I go back to writing. Like trying to do them simultaneously, I feel like it just doesn't work for me.
Dude, I'm like, a burnout happens. I'm with you, because especially when we were talking about starting a Kickstarter and kind of being like scared to death at first, but then once you get, and I'm sure you didn't really mention this too much, but I'm sure you can agree, once you get into your Kickstarter, you know, day 15, you're exhausted, because you're pitching it, you're marketing, you're also, you know, trying to dabble back into the story and make sure everything's correct, and it's just nonstop. But yeah, I mean, that very relatable. That it's just, burnout happens so quick when you're doing, but when you're juggling everything, it's just too much.
And you know, and then also my life has changed now. Like I have a 1-year-old son, and
congrats. Awesome.
You know, thank you. So now my priorities have shifted now, and also just like everything has ballooned in terms of my expectations for myself and for the company. Now I'm definitely at a point where I need help. Like I need I need to hire some people, and I've already started hiring people for like conventions. Like I have staff now that I use for conventions and things, but in terms of just the background stuff and just really getting good at marketing and promotion is really what my focus is now. Because I noticed that it seems like, you just mentioned about how the indie comic book community is so unique and so original. And I learned so much by doing conventions, because the conversations I have with fans and the things that they're looking for and the things that they're expecting, it's really robust. There really is a lot of very, very hungry fans who want this type of content. But it seems like, at least for me, connecting to those people on the internet is very hard.
It's a nightmare. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like, I don't know. Yeah, getting that connection via Twitter. Like, we had a conversation not that long ago, John and I, about how if you really look into it, there used to be such a thing with these with Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, something called I think it was called organic growth, I think is what it was called. Where it was just, you put hashtag indie comic, someone who likes indie comics will see that. And it'll get pushed, and it gets kind of flown, or slowly pushed into their feed, and then we might pick up here and there, but it's gone away. Just from what I'm reading, it's like that version of marketing, which I'm not saying it was easy, but it's definitely easier than what's currently what we're currently having to do, is kind of just not a thing anymore. And then we got into this, like you said, like a year ago, when it was just Twitter's now X, and Instagram, and then Threads, and then it's like, and Reddit. It's like, all right, I guess I have 17 apps on my phone, and maybe I'll get one buyer, maybe I'll get one fan out of it. Ooh.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't think the algorithm really cares about comics that much.
No. Yeah.
So, but once again, by going to conventions, it's like the opposite, where the what I'm seeing at convention, because I've been going to New York Comic Con. I'm pretty sure I went to the first Reed Pop branded New York Comic Con. I think it was like 2007 or something like that.
Okay.
And I think I've gone every single year. I might have missed a year or two, and COVID, it was gone for a year for COVID and stuff. I think I've gone to every single New York Comic Con since Reed Pop took it over, and that's like 12 years of cons, and I've seen this culture transform before my eyes. And especially in regards to the presence of the independent comic book community and the diversification of comic books now. Whereas back 12 years ago, it was all about the major studios. It was Marvel, DC, Image, and that was like they dominated the entire space. Now those guys don't even come out anymore.
Yeah.
Because like it's crazy. I haven't seen Marvel like legit be at New York Comic Con like in a few years. Like where they used to debut their movies and TV shows at New York Comic Con. They're not even
they
there
just
anymore.
don't need to anymore. That's one of those where they're too big to fail. It's that idea of like, why put the extra money into a Comic Con when you can just be Marvel? You know what I mean? Like not a lot of people haven't heard of Marvel. So now, but the beautiful thing about that, like you kind of mentioned, is that now that Marvel and the big two or big three or big four, whatever, you talk about Dark Horse, all of them, I've kind of like, some of them are there, but they've kind of evacuated the space. There's that vacuum, and now you have Earth Tone Comics coming in, and then like, hopefully us, these BentBox trying to get in there. And now you have all this, like you said, like kind of like a diversity of different types of comics and creators all involved now, where it used to be just like completely monopolized.
With a lot more passion.
With a lot more passion, yeah. Because you got people like you with a 1-year-old. You said 1-year-old?
Yes.
1-year-old. The baby needs food. I have I have a 10-year-old and my son's about to turn 8, and it's a thing. You know what I mean? Like it's like I'm writing, and this is gonna translate to food in my kid's mouth. Hopefully, it's like it's such a burden. It's like a response. It's crazy, but it is also fuels you and drives you and kind of makes you go, okay, I'm not gonna for lack of a better term half-ass this thing. It's gonna be a good comic, and it's gonna be good art. and it's it's going to hit all the boxes, and that's my goal, as well as I'm sure yours. So yeah, I think it's the beautiful thing about indie comics. I wanted to touch on something real fast before we get too far ahead.
Certainly.
Thankfully, you came back to it though. So next year, you mentioned. So this year was your first year of doing cons, right? Of you actually vendoring at
Yes,
cons?
yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so and you said
we're
you did
1
how
year
many?
behind.
Yeah, we're 1 year behind.
So let me count. I did the Black Comic Book Festival. I did ChemFest. I did BlurredCon. I did Anime NYC. I did there's a couple like art, like local kind of like art shows and festivals and things like that I did. But then I also went to a bunch of cons too, just to see
as a guest.
Brooklyn Comic Con.
Okay.
Yeah, Brooklyn Comic Con I did as well. And I was actually on a panel for Brooklyn Comic Con.
Wow.
But yeah, MoCA, Museum of Cartoon and Comic Art. I went there. I did not con at that one, and then I also went to FlameCon, the LGBTQ comic book convention in New York. I went to that one too. So like that's one thing that I started off with is doing research, where I would go to a comic book convention, I would just pan around with my camera, and I would look at the video later and see which booths stood out. And which ones and why.
That's nice.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of started learning about disruptive colors, how like most comic book convention exhibitors have overwhelmingly a lot of black on their table, whether it be on their tablecloth, on their banner. Black is just when you're designing, it looks great on the screen when you're making some stuff. But then when you print a banner or a tablecloth or whatever, you don't realize how it's the dominant color. Everything's black at a convention. So the people who have bright pink or bright orange or bright yellow for their tablecloths and whatnot, they just stand out. So that's why I ended up going with lime green for earth tone, because I knew it was a disruptive color. I knew that, usually when you do a convention, they give you a standard black tablecloth usually. So I just take that off and I replace it with my lime green one, with my lime green banner. And that just was one of the things that I learned from going to conventions and understanding what works and what doesn't work. But yeah, no, I've learned a lot. I've learned about point of sale. I've learned about email capture. 90% of people who exhibit at comic book conventions do not capture emails. Having a dedicated phone or tablet with an email sign up portal at your table is essential, because you get a lot of I highly recommend. Actually, I wouldn't even say do a tab. I would say have a phone. If you could have a separate phone. And also, if I don't know if you use any email marketing service. I mean, I use Constant Contact. But if you use MailChimp or any of those email marketing services, they can make it a sign up. You can have a sign up landing page or whatever. It's really easy usually, where it's just a URL. You can take that URL, you can give it to whoever else is conning with you. And whenever you have a sale, hey, would you mind signing up for an email list or whatnot? And when they sign up for the email list, they get an email with like a coupon for some more purchases and whatnot. But those types of things are things that it took me like 4 or 5 cons to really learn. And also how to bring somebody into your table, how to get someone who's just straggling by and kind of glancing at your table, how to galvanize them to actually come to your table and look at your books. The difference between telling someone about your book and shoving it in their hand and like paging through it, how that increases the chances that you're going to sell them the book. So just learning how to interact with people at conventions, learning how to make my table look nice and pretty, learning how to have the right prices for my products, the right look for the right presentation, how to present it. I finally got one of those grid wall things. I have a little it kind of reminds me of the spinner racks that we used to have back in the
Mm-hmm.
comic book stores, but it's like it's a
I've
one-sided
seen
or
it.
two-sided.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, that thing, I have that thing on wheels, and I move that around. I'm like, oh, look at these new books and whatnot, like stuff like that, like all these little tricks in other trade that I've been able to pick up on by doing conventions, and also just like keeping your energy and your engagement proper, right. Like a lot of creators they seem to be very introverted.
Mm-hmm.
So when people are walking by their table, they're not excitedly engaging them.
Yeah.
So they lose sales that way. Like me, every single person who walks by my table, I say something to them. I say, hey, hi, how's it going? Do you want a free sticker? Whatnot. Do you want to take a look at my books or whatnot? Just being very engaging and very verbal and vocal will definitely get you more sales. But I noticed some of the best creators are the ones who don't talk. So like for me as a fan, when I'm going through a convention as a fan, I'm looking for the introverted guy behind his table who's like this, because I'm like, I bet you his comic is amazing.
It's probably fire. It's great stuff. He's not going to tell you it though.
Yeah, he just doesn't know how to market. But I guess so. As a fan, those are the tables I look for. But as a publisher, I'm that guy who's in your face and never rude, always just very pleasant and happy to talk to people, because I am happy to talk to people. Is the way I do it. And I will be honest with you, 85% of the income I've made this year has been at conventions.
That's what I've been doing. Similarly, as much research as I can, because the reason why I brought this up is John and I are going to be going to our first Comic-Con in January, and
I heard you guys
3 in March, and then we're hitting Infinity Con up in Tallahassee in June or July. But that's
a crazy schedule that you guys are putting yourself into. I'm just gonna let you know.
Oh, I know. I'm worried about it. But,
I mean, you know what? It'll be great for your company. You're going to be exhausted, but like you're going to get money and you're going to get, people following your business and everything like that. So it's definitely great. If for me, my wife would probably be not so happy if I did that many cons.
One way to put it. Yeah.
Thankfully, my wife is fairly supportive of that. Right. I mean, I'm sure she's not thrilled, but
especially it depends on the side. They're local, right? They're local, right?
Thankfully,
are they like 1-2 day cons? Probably, right?
I think all of them except for one are 1 day, and then one is
okay. So that's very reasonable. Like for instance, Anime NYC, by far the biggest one I've ever done. I had to build up to that. I had to do.
That's kind of what we're doing. Infinity Con is in Tallahassee, and that's our last one for the year. Technically, last one for the year.
When is that?
I believe it's in June. North Florida, and it's supposed to be the big boy in Florida, outside of Orlando MegaCon. Yeah, outside of that's the big boy in Florida. But this one is supposed to be pretty big.
If that's in June, there's still a lot of year left for you to book some more cons if you want to.
Well, we are basically at all of the cons in Florida.
Oh, right. So you just
went through all of them. I was
Florida's a big state too. So you got all of those. That's great. That's actually a buddy of mine told me that I should try to check out some con in Florida. But you know what? It's like, once again, you get all the cons, but don't sleep on other things like shows. Like art shows and local festivals and things like that.
I need to keep my eye out for that, because I don't think I've kept my eye out for that too much. I'm just stuck on like con, and I'm also once again first year. This would be year 2, because it's gonna be 2024. So we're diving in full force, but then at the same time,
I wish you guys the best of luck.
I'm trying to be a little choosy. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to stretch us too thin. But
so. My theory initially was to go crazy. I was listening to a podcast of a guy who's actually quite successful in the comic book industry. Really successful. And he was like, year 1, him and his wife did like 40 cons or something like that. Like it was like your March schedule for the whole year.
The whole year,
right? And that was for him to just get kind of just like field data effectively. Like, what, like, you got to figure out, what does the world want from me, right? Like, what books do I have? What is it about my book that do people like? So like, now that I've done my elevator pitch so many times, I know which words in my elevator pitch kind of raises eyebrows.
Okay.
Like when I say the dragon face, it's about the 1% being a group of dark sorcerers whose magic is powered by the collective suffering of humanity. That's the first sentence of the dragon face pitch. Okay. When people say, wait, 1% magic is powered by the suffering of humanity, they always say, oh, sounds like real life. Sounds like real life. Yeah. Like, the amount of sounds like real life I've heard from that sentence alone is crazy. So I kind of honed in on that, where like, that's where I kind of lean into when I pitched the book. When I'm pitching Kimmy Cosmic, I'm like, oh, she's a space cowboy who has to unravel the mystery of her half-human heritage to prevent an evil corporation from enslaving her people. When I hit the space cowboy, that's green light. I see people's eyes widen and they're like, ooh, space cowboy. And then once I get those once I reel people in with those, then I open the book. Like, I'm sorry if I'm like, preaching to you guys or whatever.
No.
Like shove the book. Like, some people will be very reluctant. They'll be looking at it and they'll feel like, oh, I can't touch it. That's a pretty comic book. I want to look at it. Open it up for them, put it in their hand, make sure they touch it, because it won't be until they open it up and look at it and smell the pages. Like Dragon Face, I tell people that it's printed on
sniff it.
Yeah, exactly. I smell it. I always say it's printed on unfinished paper with a washed out color palette to give it an 80s horror aesthetic.
I like that. And,
it does kind of, like, the paper of Dragon Face does smell different, and like that tactile, tangible interaction that people have with the books are all things that push people further. Your guys, this is your comics about Van Gogh, right?
Yeah, Artificial's about Van Gogh. Here, I'll hit you with the elevator pitch. That way, I want a review.
Right
okay. Yes. You're the professional, clearly. Let me see if I can get it right. But it's when humanity has succumbed to its own creation, 3 unlikely heroes will be called from the past to fight against our future AI overlords.
Interesting. Yes, I think it's great. Kind of I think the only thing that I would do is mention the actual Van Gogh. Who else you got? Oh, Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm looking.
It's a motley crew.
Right. That's the only thing I would say to your pitch. Like, mention those people specifically. That way, if anyone has any connective tissue to those historical characters,
will give that eyebrow, because a lot of times whenever I do that, they'll be like, oh, Van Gogh, and that's normally the flip when I kind of talk. Yeah,
I love your colorist. I love your artwork. The artwork is great, and the lettering, like everything about. In fact, I'm about to buy this comic right now, because everything about the comic is like the lettering is fantastic. The artwork is really intricate, and the colorist is really great. Like, you have these like grayed out pages here, I see, and then I see the stormy night like vision here, how that's colored. You guys are doing really good work. I'm just gonna let you know that.
Thank you, man.
So, I'm gonna go ahead.
You got good stuff too. That's what I'm saying. I'm looking at yours, and the second you said they didn't like the art, I'm like, well, then they don't know what they're talking about, because the art looks great.
Well, that was my old artist, and also the artist who did Dragon Face, Roman Klepinin. If you're around, buddy, somewhere around, I'm looking for you. He disappeared.
Oh no.
I mean, I'm being honest. Like, he lives in Russia, right? And the last time he and I had a correspondence was literally the month that the war started. And he had just finished the last page, and the bank accounts, all the bank accounts between America and Russia, like, they blocked all of it. So I actually had to pay him for the last handful of pages with crypto, because it was the only way I could pay him. I couldn't send him money any other way. And then about a month after that, I lost all contact, and he hasn't posted on any social media. He hasn't answered any emails.
Oh man,
I really hope he's okay. I hope more so than me wanting him to work on the next volume of Dragon Face. I just hope.
I need the next comic. Okay. I just hope he's okay.
Yeah, I hope he's okay. But Yeah, no, great. Graciously, I was able to meet him, and he did the artwork. And as soon as he started working on the artwork, I was like, "Dang, these pages are better." I was like, "Okay, yeah, like there's a difference." So yeah, no.
When you said you like, but the funny thing about Artificial though, what you're looking at right now is all the work of one dude. So Gabriel Fonseca, he's a guy from Brazil. He inked it, colored it, and lettered it. And it all happened.
He lettered it?
He lettered it.
Wow.
And this is his first comic book he's ever done. He's never done a comic book before. He's never lettered a comic book before. He's never colored a comic book before. He's only inked like 2 to 3 page little things. And I found him on Behance, just looking around. And the funny thing, it kind of came about with like, all right, now I have to hire a color. I hired him as an inker. I was like, now I have to hire a colorist and a letterer. I was like, okay, so I have to deal with 2 more people. Let me find those. And I remember going like, I see some of your colors. I mean, they're pretty good. I was like, you want to just color? And he goes, he's like, I'll try it. He did it. It's amazing. And I'm like, as soon as he got done with the colors, I was like, no offense to letterists out there. Letterers. It's its own art form. I know. That said, I did utter the words. I mean, how hard could it be? I mean, you're doing really good with inking and lettering, or inking and coloring. I was like, do you want to just try lettering? And he goes, I'll try it. And it just worked. And it's so good. You
got very lucky.
I got lucky.
Sevens, man. You got triple sevens.
You got very lucky. Yeah, because I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of lettering. My letterer is a guy named Letter Squids.
I see one of who that is.
Yeah, Letter Squids. He does a lot of work, man. He does a lot of professional work, and he does a lot of independent, to the point where I'm just like, you're not one person. There's no way you're one person.
It sounds like a company name almost, like Letter.
Yeah, it does. But I only interact with one guy, and he Justin, shout out Justin. He does. But not only does he do the lettering for me, he does my logos, he does my layouts.
I do like the lettering, looking through Dragonface and stuff. Like lettering's nice.
He does a great job on Dragonface, but on Kimmy Cosmic, he's even better because Kimmy Cosmic is a more animated, more
a little more fun, quirky, more kind of fun. Play around more. Yeah,
right. Dragonface, we had to reel it in a little bit to make it a little bit to match the tone of the book. But I love when characters have different kind of dialogue boxes and dialogue colors, and even the little scraggly lines that he's doing here from the word boxes is very artistic. So yeah, no, you guys are a shining example of what I'm talking about with indie comics. You go back 10, 20 years ago, indie comics didn't look like this. You would see an indie comic and it would clearly not be at the quality of a mainstream comic. Right, it would be indie. And now you guys just doing this, and this is your first run. This is absolutely professional level. So this is what I'm talking about, how this industry is changing dramatically, and the best stuff is not even coming out on the majors anymore. It's coming out from guys like you. So yeah, it's crazy, because my wife and I, we went to a Van Gogh exhibit in Brooklyn like about a year ago, where they took all of his artwork. It was like this 3D, not 3D, it was like a big room, and all of his paintings were projected onto the walls and onto the floors, onto the ceiling. They have that. Yeah, I know it's a traveling.
It's like a tent. Yeah, it's like a tent or like an exhibit they set up.
There's a traveling one, and then there's a one I think that's permanently in Florida. It's in Sarasota. Okay. It's like an hour north of us. But yeah, I actually haven't gone to it yet. I've been so busy, and I'm like kicking myself because I was like, I just want to go, especially as I can't be like, I wrote a comment about Van Gogh and I haven't gone and see the exhibit. I'm a fraud. That said, I've done a lot of research into Van Gogh specifically for this comic, but yeah.
Random question. If I buy this collector's bundle, the physical one, do I get stickers with that, or can I get stickers as an add-on?
Just send me your address.
Because I'm a sticker. I'm like, my sticker collection is like no joke. No, I gotta support. I'm very. Right. I'm a believer in karma. I have to.
Well, don't worry about whatever.
But wait, this is Indiegogo. You guys aren't on Kickstarter. This is on Indiegogo. Okay. Just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, what was your decision to do that? What led you to?
So, I'll try and make a long story short. Indiegogo or Kickstarter, for all intents and purposes, not great. So our whole thought was, let me put a 5. So specifically, that's the beauty about talking to a creator. It cost me almost 6K to make Artificial One. By the time everyone was paid correctly and well, 5K. I put my Kickstarter at $500. Obviously not enough to make up for it, but more of like a low barrier to entry, try and get at least funded, because the comic was fully created. By the time I pressed launch, it was done, ready to print. So because I did have a little bit of savings to put into it, it barely made enough to fund. And I'm like, well, all right. And then I had I think John was like, some people do a second chance campaign on Indiegogo. Maybe you can try and recoup a little bit there. Now that I have more, I only had like 50 followers on Twitter. I had just started my Twitter account. I was never on social media before. So I was like, all right, I got like 300 followers now. Let me do an Indiegogo second chance campaign, see if I can make some money up, and then start Artificial 2. Barely made $500. And to be completely honest, the only reason it made $500 is 3 of my friends paid for the $100 thing. So as much as and it's definitely not a pity party, but I have not gotten much in the way of crowdfunding yet. For this
that's why we chose to do cons this coming year. That was one of the biggest reasons why we chose to do cons, was because the connection, like you said earlier, the connection online. A lot of times you feel like you're talking to other creators, you're not talking to the readers, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to go where the readers are, where the people who actually care about comics. So like you said, being in that environment, you're in an environment where they're there for you, for your books, for your style, what you're doing, right? There's a few other things that's who we want to relate to, right? Like you said, with the email list, that's what we're trying to pull, right? I want to grow with a personal conversation with these people and a personal relationship. I want them to know, who I am, who we are as a company. Doing that online, man, it's so saturated. I'm not saying that it's not doable. It's just so saturated, and we're so new. So I think doing cons is going to be a great way to build that personal relationship with a lot of people. Get pictures with people, have a good time, man. Enjoy the time. Be there. And that's why we chose to do it, is because of this exact situation. So
but that happens, you're looking at it now, but that's kind of the gist of it. Is Indiegogo is just a second chance campaign, and then like I said, didn't really go very far. I was hoping it would maybe even have the potential to blow up and fund issue 2 completely. Didn't obviously. Didn't even really cover enough for all the shipping. But that's fine. I still have enough saved to where I'm just doing issue 2 because I love this comic so much and I'm invested into it, and I want to just, put all I have into it. Right. But yeah, you're looking at it.
Well, it looks fantastic. I think that, for me, when I did my Kickstarter, I was thinking like, well, whatever I do here, whatever I print, however many copies I press, I'm gonna give myself, up to 4 years to recoup. A friend of mine said that a good recoup timeline is 2 years.
2 years is normally that's for like corporate. You start a small business, it's a 2-year window normally.
And then if you do happen to get into the second issue, and if you are able to invest in that and make that happen,
it's going to be done by the end of the year. That's the goal.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. Is this series 2 issues, or is it longer than that, or?
It's going to be between 8 and 10. That's my goal.
8 and 10 issues?
Yeah, it's going to be a fairly long story. I have a long story I want to tell.
Okay. Because from what I understand, a lot of people like to get the back catalog of Kickstarters too as well. Like me, I'm not a huge single issue guy. I like to wait until a couple issues have come out. A couple issues are out, and then I get them. Or I prefer obviously a graphic novel or something like that. But also I feel like people would really appreciate this who are not comic book fans but are fans of like Van Gogh and Da Vinci.
I'm trying, dude. I'm trying to hit that market too. Which once again, like we said, it's a lot of it right now. We are locked into just social. We don't have an opportunity to go out yet. We are planning for that, but that's kind of the thing. Is like I know my market. It's just I can't get them. You know what I mean? And then I really can't wait to go to the cons.
I'm about to resort to online ads. Just doing it that way.
I've done it. And
yeah,
I put a couple hundred, not like crazy, like a couple $100 just to test the waters on both Twitter, Instagram. I get, a couple likes, couple follows.
But it doesn't really.
It doesn't translate. So far for me, it didn't translate.
No, I believe you. I absolutely believe you. I just got in touch with someone who works in comic book ad marketing, and she was like, it's difficult. Like she was like, you got to run an ad for 90 days just to get data, and then after that, you start to refine it. And she has a whole situation for me that I haven't even got started yet. I was supposed to do that this year, and I haven't even gotten around to doing it. So,
I mean, if you do it right and invest, and like you said, you get the data, and you're putting a lot of time, energy, and effort into it. So it's a second job. You got to hire you could basically hire someone. Once you do that, I'm sure you will see some ad to sales translation. I just, I was doing it as like testing the waters to see, can I get one sale out of a couple $100 ad that I'm posting to a very specific group of Van Gogh, classic art, indie comic lovers. You know what I mean? Very targeted. Nah, there were no sales came from that $100 ad. I'll look at it more, but yeah, we're kind of in a similar boat. I'm super excited about your success and how you've been going. And it looks like a, Lord willing, a future BentBox comics, to be honest, because just looking at you, because it's a very similar path that we're like, all right, let me just start my own thing. Let me go hit cons. Let me put this book in people's faces, make them sniff it, whatever it takes. And that is
spray
translating.
Some perfume on it. Some nice comics before.
I mean, that's what I'm with you on it. It's a tactile thing for me, but I think it's because I have autism. Anyway, when you touch, I know when you touch, I made sure to go for the smooth, like velvet touch.
Oh, right. Yes, I was going to say that makes a difference. It definitely makes a difference.
And like when I first grabbed it, I was like, if I had grabbed this, you know what I mean? Like went to a table and grabbed it, I would immediately think of higher quality and it would pique my interest. So I was super excited to do that for this. I'm with you with investing into the comics in every way, shape, and form to where it's just a very high quality product above and beyond what you're getting from Big 2, Big 3, Big 4. And that's kind of our goal as well.
So yeah, I mean, I don't really feel like I'm the future. I feel like we're pretty much at the same place in the race. But I definitely think that you're doing exactly what you should be doing. I think that people are going to enjoy this book when they see it in real life. And, like I said, I'm just trying to figure out what that next phase is. The problem is what I'm noticing with a lot of people who have had some success in the digital comic book or in the online comic book community, it's usually because they're doing controversial stuff.
Yes.
They're posting
controversy sells, sex sells, everything sells.
I was about to say boobs, and you get 10K off the bat, right?
You put some TNA in someone's face, they'll buy your book. And I mean, hey, no shade. I mean, I try not to throw shade, but it sounds like I'm throwing shade.
No, I get it. I mean, for me, I want to do something with a little bit more substance. Like I wouldn't mind doing like an erotica, like a book where that really explores like actual aspects of sexuality in a way that I feel like has some type of narrative purpose,
substance.
Other than
that's kind of the thing, though.
Right. Instead of just doing like a NSFW alternate cover. But I also am not against doing that either. Yeah. Like sometimes I gotta say, don't stop being old, right? Like sometimes I want things to be the way they are or whatever, but you gotta kind of just be more flexible and just be like, hey, this is the game now. This is how you poke through the algorithm. This is how you get attention. Sometimes you have to do things.
I'm not planning on doing it. I know it is a thing that people do, but I know I'm not planning on it. I made a joke to John. I said, my main character, or my secondary character in this comic is Marika Sott, who's like a Victorian era painter. And so I had an idea of making an alternative, not safe for work cover, but it was just going to be her raising her dress so you could see her ankles. And it was just going to be that.
That's
just
hilarious.
Like, with like a little, smirk.
That's
and
you'd have to put the cover. You have to put the black like lines over her ankles. Like
when you post it on Kickstarter, it's like not safe for work cover.
I mean, some people might get the satire of that, and it might work really well.
Yeah, this is very highbrow art I'm presenting to you right now. Anyway, I think we're on the same page there. But anyway, so we went pretty long. It was great talking with you. It was a fun talk. I would love to talk more because we didn't even get to talk about printing. I saw your comment, but I mean, we're a little over our normal time. While we wrap things up, why don't you tell everyone? Let's see. Do you have a ETA for your
right? So coming up, my Kickstarter campaign right now, I'm the books are done. They're ready to go. I'm just waiting on. I was gonna launch this month, but I kind of realized that it wasn't I didn't have enough time to really do it the way I wanted. So we're probably gonna launch in January now. So I'm waiting just to collect more followers to the campaign. That's another trick that I learned that I didn't know before that I've learned now is that leaving it the pre-launch page up for a while and collecting followers is a good thing to do before you launch. Some people won't launch until they get like 100 followers or whatnot, something like that. So I'm in that phase where I'm advertising it. I'm trying to get people to follow it, but I can quickly show you very quickly what we have. So we have so the what I'm running, and I can't find. I should have had the book in front of me, but I don't have that book in front of me. So we have the Kimmy Cosmic graphic novel, which is the first 5 issues, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of Kimmy Cosmic. That will be available on the Kickstarter. We also have issues. I get all this glare. Issue 6 and 7.
Yep.
There's 6 or there's 7 right there, and this is issue 6 right here. And then we also have this really beautiful rose gold foil.
I saw that. It looks pretty
version
nice.
of number 1.
Nice.
That is also going to be on the Kickstarter too.
Yeah, it looks pretty. It looks pretty slick. I like it.
And basically it'll be a full. You'll get 7 issues of Kimmy Cosmic, or the rose gold foil alternate cover. So that will be. That's the Kickstarter campaign that's going on right now. I'm also going to have my other comic book, my Afrofuturistic comic book, Drone Slayer, will be available on the campaign as well. We also got the Anime NYC alternate cover of that. That will be. My orientation is wrong. When I go left,
no, you're good. Yeah, it's flipped. We got you.
And and then I'm not going to put Dragon Face on it because I only wanted non-mature stuff on this particular campaign.
Gotcha.
But everything will be on my website, earthtoneking.com. So that is going to be what I'm doing now. And then I got a lot of surprises next year in regards to things that I'm putting out. But I don't want to talk about them just now yet. But I do have a lot more books that we're working on currently, including the 2nd chapter to Drone Slayer, the next chapter to Kimmy Cosmic, the next chapter to Dragon Face, are all being worked on right now, as well as super excited about the Valiant stuff that's coming out next year too. So
awesome. Dude, it's pretty cool. You got tons of cool stuff coming out, and that's another thing that we're on a similar page with is not only high quality content, but we're trying to do a lot of content. So like we want you entertained, and that, I think that's the goal of both Earth Tone and BentBox. Everyone, please go check out earthtoneking.com. That's his shop. I'll make sure to put a link in the description.
I'm grabbing this this collector's bundle right now. Does Indiegogo do add-ons, or is it just like
it should? If you go to the next page, it should allow add-on. If it does not,
is the sticker sheet an add-on?
Yeah, it is. If it does not come as an add-on, I will make sure it finds its way in the box.
I need.
You gotta have stickers, man. I'm with you. I'm a sticker guy, man.
My sticker, like I would grab it off my shelf right now. I have a huge thick binder full of stickers. I'm crazy about the stickers. But no, I'm really impressed with your guys' work, man. I'm excited to see what else you guys put out.
Thanks, man.
For sure.
I mean, just just making some cool stuff. That's what we're doing here. So, all right, everybody. I really appreciate everyone coming and listening. Thank you so much, AJ, for swinging by. Please, let's do this again. Maybe sometime next year after we get a couple cons under our belt, we can kind of come back together and just see how things are going, because this was a fun chat. But that's pretty much it. So everyone, have a good rest of your Thursday, and we will see you next Thursday. Thanks again, AJ. We'll see everyone later.
Thanks, AJ.
Peace.
AJ.
See you guys.
Take it easy, guys.